All right, we love to talk House bills here, but this House bill we need to pay attention to. Because you anti-vaxxers out there, sometimes, you get a little lippy, and it's all right. I have anti-vaxxer friends. I can, and I believe in the freedom of choice. But now you might be charged with a civil penalty or a crime if you act up. Jeannie, tell us about this and introduce our next guest, because this is something people have to know about.
Well, it's House Bill 4596. Again, this is another one of those authoritarian type bills that Governor Pritzker is going to be happy to sign should it pass the House and the Senate. But it's the Health Misinformation Act, and they actually have health misinformation response units.
Health
misinformation response units,
Oh,
as
so
if this
they're
is an
gonna pull up-
emergency.
Oh, yeah. What color scheme are they going to wear in their health?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Are they going to have their own vehicles? Maybe with lights and sirens on? So it's more big government.
Well, fortunately, we have a doctor in the House, an actual real doctor, and that is State Representative Bill Hauter. He's also a doctor. He represents the 87th District, and he's the one who alerted me to this bill. And so I wanted to have him on to talk about this bill and some other things happening in Springfield. Dr. Hauter, thanks so much for joining us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, of course.
So tell us about this bill and why we should be concerned.
Well, I mean, you guys were laughing about it, but doesn't it sound Orwellian? Like they have health misinformation response units, so they can respond. The government can respond to anything that they consider misinformation out there. So they will respond, and they're going to recruit and train quote unquote trusted messengers. These are like figures of like influencers and people that they're going to train in the correct information and send them out there to communicate the right information, accurate, quote unquote. I wish you could see me. I'm doing air quotes like as much as I possibly can. I'm doing air quotes for these trusted messengers and misinformation response units. It's just simply a way for the government to impose their views, what they consider correct information. And you can come up with just multiple scenarios where they're going to have the information that they consider correct, and they could shut down anyone or any information that doesn't come from their viewpoint or their what they consider correct medical information.
Well, give us an example. I mean, I know that this hasn't passed yet, but if somebody says, I'm not taking a measles shot and you shouldn't either, do you think that's inflammatory rhetoric where the members of the healthcare misinformation response unit would respond to my house?
I mean, that's possible. It's to me, the most, you could just put it in the terms of some common things that we are still seeing, even from COVID. So you can think about all the information from COVID that was considered conspiracy theories and was incorrect information, or information about the vaccination, the COVID vaccination especially, that was, you're fear mongering or that's incorrect information. That all can be considered to be incorrect medical information. You can put it in the form of not just vaccination, but also transgender medicine, or so-called transgender medicine, or gender affirming care, if you can see air quotes again. But that's if you said at one time online, and I was banned from Twitter a couple times for saying a man cannot be a woman. And so if that's considered medical misinformation, if you oppose transgender so-called gender affirming care, then you could possibly be not just shut down like it was back before Twitter was taken over by Elon Musk, but you were kicked off. But in this bill, as I read it, you can be prosecuted.
Right. Well, talk more about that. People could face civil or criminal penalties for spreading medical misinformation. I mean, what could you go to jail for this?
Yeah. I mean, the jail or fines, and they want to use the Consumer Protection Act. Jeannie, they used that same thing for a couple years ago. They had tried to do this with pregnancy centers.
That's right.
So here's
House Bill
another example of
1909.
pregnancy centers. What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, House Bill 1909.
Yeah, and it lasted for about 2 weeks.
Well, wait, tell us
before
about
was,
it. You didn't. A lot of us don't know
Well,
about that House bill.
this was a bill that said that the Attorney General and of Illinois could decide if pregnancy centers were purveyors of misinformation or if they were disseminating misinformation. And they didn't give us an example of what that could be. But if they were found to be in violation of the Consumer Protection Act and giving misinformation, which was conceivably anything that was against the state of Illinois, that they could fine these pregnancy centers up to $50,000. And the Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, who is not very good at deciding if a bill is actually constitutional or not, he assured everyone this is totally constitutional. And we, again, over and over said this is unconstitutional. It's compelled speech. It's viewpoint discrimination. It violates freedom of speech, freedom of religion. It was classic viewpoint discrimination. But within 2 weeks, he had abandoned defending the bill after it was passed, and it was found to be unconstitutional immediately.
Yeah, no,
and
that's
I think
because
that's the same.
Yeah, the Thomas
Same
More
thing with
Society.
this bill.
Yeah, the Thomas More Society sued immediately for an injunction on that bill. The bill is still law. It's still law. The judge in that case said that this is stupid and very likely unconstitutional. At which point, then the Attorney General Kwame Raoul decided he's just not going to enforce it. However, that law does remain on the books. It's another, and I think that this is in that same realm. This is one of those speech police bills. It's similar also to, I think it was 1526 that is still being litigated. That's the one that says that you don't have rights as a doctor to not refer for abortion. So that's still being litigated.
Refer,
7 years post that bill being filed. Thomas More Society is still in a decision about that. The HHS, Trump's HHS, has come down and said, if you don't change this law, we're coming after you. So this is another one of those speech police bills that we see so frequently, and it's written by a lawyer. David Vella is the chief sponsor of this bill. He's out of Rockford, so listeners, listen up, and he should know better about First Amendment rights.
Absolutely, and it's obviously unconstitutional. You can't compel people to speak the words you want them to speak. And that's another area where I think it's easily provable that this is unconstitutional, but it could be used. This bill can be used once again for pregnancy centers. Imagine if a pregnancy center says abortion reversal pill and wants to advertise or on Google their services for the abortion reversal pill, which the state of Illinois would find to be misinformation. They could shut them down with this bill.
Okay, speaking of that, because this just goes right into the next thing I wanted to cover with you, and that is the fact that the abortion pill itself has been found in 11% of the cases to be very harmful to the people taking it, at which point it's under review, I believe, by the CDC. And then Pritzker came in and said, and they filed that bill saying, look, as long as a drug was previously approved and is still approved by the World Health Organization, then we're going to allow its usage in the state of Illinois. And so you couple that with the fact that now, when Trump pulled out of the World Health Organization, Illinois, under Pritzker, decided to join the World Health Organization. Explain what's going on.
Well, we've seen this in a couple bills where they have decided to show that they're anti-Trump and to show how they are battling the Trump administration, especially anything Secretary Kennedy does. And so what they're doing now is abandoning the FDA, HHS, anything that has to do with the Department of Health and Human Services. any edict that comes out, they're going to oppose, and they're going to show their base how they're fighting the Trump administration by not following any of those guidelines from the CDC, et cetera. And so what they've gone to now is the great liberal department of WHO, the World Health Organization, which the nation does not even the country does not even participate anymore, and covered itself in glory during COVID by kowtowing to communist China. Basically, this is a communist China controlled organization, and so they're going to now follow anything from WHO and use WHO vaccination guidelines and WHO abortion guidelines instead of using the FDA, which is the gold standard for drug safety in the United States. I'm not sure, again, how they can abandon the drug safety requirements of the FDA, but that's what they are trying to do.
Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Hauter, for coming on and explaining all this to our listeners so that more people are informed. And I think it also really points out to the fact that depending on who you select as governor, they actually do have a lot of power. And it will make a difference. A lot of people want to be such negative, like, oh, if Ted Dabrowski gets in, what can he do when he's got a Democrat legislature? Well, here's what he can do. He can pull us out of this garbage. He can run the agencies effectively, and have people like you as his counsel instead of folks like, Juliana Stratton.
Yeah, I mean the ability to name department heads. I think there was like 2,500 appointments that the governor of Illinois can make, and you can change overnight whole departments and the trajectory of Illinois. And governorship would be such a key way to gain back control of some sanity in this state.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bill Hauter, Republican state representative from Illinois' 87th district and a physician. And he joined us on Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
John was an active man. He'd go for runs, walk the golf course, and always take the stairs instead of the elevator. But then bone-on-bone knee pain got in the way and affected his mobility. It became too